Yeah, go ahead.
As a younger writer, how aware are you of younger readers in a time when video games, movies, and TV are more popular?
I think that there are maybe more young readers than I think maybe there's not quite the paucity of young readers that people believe. You know, I remember still when the last book of the Harry Potter series came out, and the night it came out, it was a midnight release, and I was waiting to go into this bookstore in the small town where I live. There was a huge line out front, and everyone in the line was younger than me, you know, and I remember at 12:01, this girl who was about, I don't know, 20, 21 came out, she held the book up, and everyone cheered, you know, and for me, it was my favorite part of reading Harry Potter. You know, it wasn't actually reading, it was being in that line with them and seeing all these basically kids. But they weren't really kids anymore, though. They were all like college age or out of college. And I was thinking, for these kids, Harry Potter's story is their story. You know, all these kids started reading these books when they were 12 or 13. And as Harry has grown older, they've grown older. And all those readers are still out there. You know, and there's the Comic-Con crowd, you know. There was, you know, there's this huge cultural, you know, it's Woodstock for geeks. And 500,000 people turn out for, you know, to celebrate comics and pop culture. And a lot of them, there's a lot of guys my age who are a little schlubby and probably wear their pants a little too high and everything. There's a lot of young people there too. You know, I think that it's a little harder. You know, there's a lot more distractions, and you know, and so it's got to be good, and it's got to speak to people where they live. One of the things that you know, I talked about failing as a novelist for a long time before I finally put it together with Heart-Shaped Box. But one of the things that I as a short story writer is I became terrified of losing the editor's interest. I was so afraid that the editor would only read a page and put it down, and so I would put the most amazing thing I could think of in the first paragraph or the first sentence, and then I would just start shoveling. Man, would I shovel? You know, and you know, and to this day, the thing which most scares me is someone will be reading, and then they'll hit a dead patch, which isn't like story; it's just like writing, you know, like pretty writing or something. And they'll be like, "I wonder what's on YouTube," and flip the book and go over, and that's really why it takes me so long. That's why I'm so slow, you know, because I feel like every single sentence and moment has to really just earn its way in. If it you know, you want to keep the pedal down. If it doesn't give people a reason to be excited and keep reading, it probably doesn't belong in the book or the comic or the short story. But I think if you can, you know, I think young readers are out there. That's also another reason why I write comics, though, is because I do think, you know, there are a lot of 20-something readers who love the comic book form and are open to stories of the fantastic and the weird, but this is where they seek it out as opposed to in prose fiction. So this is, by the way, this isn't for people who are too young. You know, I did at least one thing for the first book of Locke and Key where a woman said, "I'm going to pick it up for my 9-year-old," and I said, "Yeah, please don't, you know." And I mean, I have boys myself, and my great regret about Locke and Key is that it's so R-rated, and I wish I had just made it something I could read to them. But you know, like in the first story arc, there's the thing with the deranged sociopath going down on the trucker, and like that's just a hard one to sell to little guys. That's hard, you know. So anyway, next. Anyone else? Let me look and see if do we have any fresh meat? No? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just curious, because you said that you failed as a writer, whatever. As a writer, do you have like any suggestions that are a little bit different than what's generally put out there? Like, do you outline? Do you do like?
Outlines are tools of the devil.
I'm actually
we try to avoid them at all costs.
It's funny you mentioned. I'm writing a story about Caligula right now, but the outline.
You can't have my Caligula Superman story.
No,
I have my dibs on it.
No. Very different. It's more like like the heart-shaped box.
Okay.
After his death, but
Well, I got my dibs on that one too, but okay. All right, but go on. So go on.
no, I mean, so you say don't outline,
Yeah.
even if it's got mystery elements to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was talking about this with Kat, right before things started. And not only should you not outline, you should not write a novel, and you should not write a short story. Don't write any of those things. Just try to write a good scene. If you get one really great scene, it's maybe that alone is a short story. Or maybe it's the first chapter of a book. But trying to think about writing a book is just too scary. It's too much effort. Sometimes, mostly.
Because if you get a scene, you might write it or might know something.
Right, and it might turn out to be, well, a lot of times you think you're writing in order, and then when you get the story done or the book done, you realize that a bunch of other stuff has to go back, that you're going to have to take it out and stick that up front. But I think that I always say the worst sign for my writing is if you walk into my office and the place is spotless. If I've had time to clean, it means I'm not getting anything done. The good sign is if you go into the office and there's like tottering piles of books and manuscripts and magazines pulled open and research stuff pulled down. It means, that's that nasty mess is a sign that some good work is getting done. And usually the first drafts are also a nasty mess, but that's good. And then when you go into the second draft, then you can make things tidy.
Do you have a routine? Just one routine?
Yeah. My routine is 6 hours a day, every day, 365 days a year, sometimes more in the evening, if necessary. And I used to do that just because I thought it was a good habit and I wanted to. Now I have to do it because I feel like it's the only way to stay ahead of the tractor.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll fall and get chewed up by deadlines. Go ahead.
Sorry, the house and the area that is in Locke and Key, is that based on anything from your own, memory or anything?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly a real place. I don't think I can get in trouble for admitting that. It is, and one thing I'm excited about is I think that Gabriel Rodriguez is going to be here in this town for New York Comic-Con. You all need to go. You all need to say hi, get him to sign your books, tell him I said hi. I'm not going to be at New York Comic-Con, but I'm going to be in town right afterwards, and I'm going to meet Gabe, and we're going to go to the real Lovecraft, Massachusetts. It's not in this book. If you look at the coastline of Massachusetts, and if you look north, you will see Lovecraft, Massachusetts. It's not that far north of Boston. And almost every feature of the town, down to the drowning cave, really exists. That cave and the bunkers and everything all around it, the spit of land, that is all a real place in Massachusetts. I didn't change much except some names. So, I definitely had a specific place in mind. I always wanted to set a story there. So, yeah, let me do one more, and then, because I don't want anyone to nod off. We'll go ahead and I'll sign some books in a second. But go ahead.
I wanted to ask, there was a particular issue, I don't want to give it away from anybody who hasn't read it, where every page was a full page.
Yeah.
There's giants involved.
Right.
And I wanted to know what the process was. Was that your idea? Was that Gabe's idea? How much was it that was yours ultimately? How much was his?
You want to know what's awesome about that issue? I get paid the same page rate, no matter what. And I'm like, page 6, they fight. Page 7, they fight. Ching. A little more went into it. That's where. Okay, with the new issue I had the 8 drafts, but I gotta say, sometimes I get off easy too. I was fairly detailed about what I wanted to have happen, but the other thing is I just love the comic book form, and so I've tried to do something unique with almost every issue, and I wanted to do an issue of just full page drawings and just let Gabe go completely to town, and so the whole, that's in here. There's, these. I can show them off. It's not spoiling anything.
It's better than any action movie I've seen. It was really effective, I have to say.
Here they are. And okay, the kids are looking. This is great. There's a key. You'll see when they're
So anyway, well, that's it. I hope it was moderately interesting, but I'm going to stick around. I'm happy to sign whatever you have for me. I'll sign all these. If you have other books, I'll sign those. And it's a beautiful night in New York City, so enjoy it, guys. Thanks.